Alright, as you can see here, this shows all of my data coming in from what I was collecting from my Google form. And you will see the name, Twitter handles, and various roles in education, and then how many years these folks have been in education. Now, this doesn't do a whole lot for me at this point. It does in the fact that it's collecting names and organizing the data for me somewhat. But really, the magic is in my tables below here, and you can see I have summary tables of a couple of things that I want to display. I want to display the role in education, and I can see teacher, how many teachers I have, assistant principals, none have filled out this form, 6 principals, etc. And then you can also see the number of years in education that is summarized here. 0 to 1, I don't have anybody. 2 to 5, I have 2, etc. So those are just summary tables, and that data is populated by a formula that I'm going to show you in just a moment. So you can see here, this is how we graphically show the different roles in education. So with the people that I've had participate and complete this form, we have about 29% are teachers, 33% are falling in that other category, about 10% consultants, and about another 29% as principals. And again, this data is going to be populated, and this graph is going to change as data comes in, as forms are completed. And then the next tab shows the number of years in education, and you can see my highest category at this point, 11 to 15 at this point. So, after completing that Google form, as you know, the data is going to come into this spreadsheet here. Now, what I did from there is simply created a new sheet. All right? That's all you have to do, is to create a new sheet. At this time, I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need it. All right? I created a new sheet and I labeled it Summary Tables. And I have all of my categories listed out here that you would see on that form. And then what I have done is I've set up formulas to count this, what's labeled a certain way. And the formula that I use is the COUNTIF formula, okay? And I'm actually just going to get rid of this right now. And I'm going to start, so now you can see I took that out of the cell and you can't see anything in there. So I am going to select that cell, and here's what I want. I am going to say, start my equation with equals. And I want the COUNTIF formula. And Google recognizes that, so that's what I want. COUNTIF. Now, it's asking me for a range, and what do I want to count? So, what I want to count is back to the Data Entry tab. So I'm going to go back there. And I want to count these cells in D, so D2, all the way through, I put a colon, D, I'm going to say 1,000. Now, do I think I'm going to have 1,000 entries in this? No, I do not. However, if I happen to have a whole bunch of them, I'm safe by going through D1000. So essentially, that's going to say D2 all the way down to D1000, okay? And it's going to count this in this cell. If this, I put a comma, quotation marks, and then I'm going to label this as, I think that first one was teacher. Or I'm sorry, I think it was principal. Quotes, and then I need to finish with a parentheses. And when I'm ready to go, I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see, well, I did make a mistake. This should not say principal. This should say teacher. And that is the COUNTIF formula. Now, I have that set for teacher. Let's say I get rid of this one. I would do the same thing in this group, in this cell. So what I'm going to do is click up here on the function bar. I am going to select and copy that. Then I'm going to click on this cell. Again, click in this function box. I'm going to paste. Now, I do not want this to say teacher. Now, I want this to say assistant principal. Now, if I've done everything right, I don't have an assistant principal. Enter. Just like that. Now, again, if I clear this out and show you how to do this, I don't have anything in here. I can, again, simply paste. And rather than say teacher, I want this to say principal. I have to make sure that I type everything correctly. And just like that, and there I am. So that's the COUNTIF formula. Then, once I have my formulas ready to go, then I can start to make a graph. So, I am going to select all of my data, and I'm simply going to go up to this icon that says Insert Chart. And then I have a choice. What type of chart do I want to use? Do I want to use a bar chart? Gives me a preview of what that would look like. A line graph, I don't think that one's really appropriate. What I want would best display it. I want a circle chart, so that's what I'm going to go with. And I'll just put Insert. Okay, and as you can see, this is going to show up right on that page. I would like to have this in its own sheet, as its own tab. So I'm going to move it to its own sheet. Okay, it's labeled as Chart 3. I could call this anything I want. If I just click on that arrow, I'm going to rename it to Pie Chart. What a unique name, huh? And then I can see, I can click here, adjust my title. Let's call it Pie Chart. If I want to adjust that size, let's make it 36, real big. I want to adjust this size. Let's make it 20. And then there it is. So that's really that COUNTIF formula. I'm taking the data from here, choosing what I want to count within that group of cells from here, and then I can visually display that. And as data comes in, as the forms are completed, that is going to change.